Today, I'm going to show you how to make the most delicious yet healthy chocolate ice cream using the Ninja Creami. This recipe is dairy-free, which means it's also lactose-free. It's very low in saturated fat, and it's full of whole unprocessed ingredients, which means you can give it to your kids on a regular basis and not feel bad like you're giving them a lot of extra calories and sugar and fat. So what you'll need to make this recipe is the Ninja Creami. If you haven't heard of or used the Ninja Creami before, the Ninja Creami is an ice cream maker, but not in the traditional sense. With the Ninja Creami, you basically prep a liquid product that you will pour into their 24-ounce containers, and it'll freeze overnight. And what the Ninja Creami does is it turns essentially this block of ice into creamy deliciousness, and it takes around 2 to 4 minutes to do that. So unlike a traditional ice cream maker where you would add in sugar and milk and a bunch of other stuff, and it would churn and make that ice cream over several hours, this just takes frozen fruit and other ingredients in blocks of ice essentially and creams them up and turns them into that texture that we love. Now, in order to make this recipe, you will need a nice blender. Unfortunately, you do need a blender to make this recipe and many of the other recipes that you'll see on this channel for the Ninja Creami. Now, the nice part is if you only have a nice blender and you don't have the Ninja Creami, you can still make this recipe and it will come out as a delicious, healthy chocolate shake. Or if you put it in the freezer for a few hours and take it out before it fully solidifies, it'll be almost like a pudding texture. So you can still enjoy this. It's just without the Creami, you won't get that ice cream experience. Now, without further ado, let's take a look at the ingredients. So the Ninja Creami comes in 2 sizes, regular and extra large. This is the extra large version that I have, and it uses these 24-ounce containers. However, the regular version uses 16-ounce containers. And as far as I'm aware, you can't interchange the container size between the products. So just make sure that if you love ice cream as much as I do, you get the extra large version. Unless you live by yourself, I honestly recommend just getting the extra large version. You have the option on the machine to just do a half portion. So, and I've rarely run into an issue when I've had multiple people over that we just couldn't finish all the ice cream. So in terms of ingredients, I'll list out the amounts here based on the extra large version, and then I'll list them out for you in the regular version in case that's the size that you have. So first and foremost, we'll use 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast and 3 tablespoons of rolled oats. You'll need a dash of vanilla. I'm all out, but a dash of vanilla will do. Here I have around 2/3 of a cup of baking cacao. This is unsweetened, and I'll have 12 dates. You don't have to use the medjool, although the medjool are the most delicious to snack on as well. Just make sure that if you don't buy them pitted, that you make sure you pit them. You really don't want to put any of these in the blender. Your blender will not like them, and neither will the people eating your ice cream. So I always double check them anyway, just to make sure they don't have any pits in them. So, and there's 10 to 12 of them. Now, if you just have the regular size Ninja Creami, you can do 1 to 1.5 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, 2 tablespoons of oats, 1/4 to 1/2 cup of cacao, depending on how chocolatey you like it, and 5 to 10 dates, depending on its sweetness. The nice thing with the dates is you can always add a little bit more if you find it's not sweet enough. Now, keep in mind, you can also make this recipe with a couple tablespoons of cashews. However, I leave them out because I feed this to someone who has a nut allergy, but you can add a couple tablespoons of cashews. You'll also need some water. Don't forget, you'll need some water as well to make things go around in the blender. But you could also use soy milk or almond milk or regular milk if you wanted to make this not vegan, not dairy free. You can also use coconut milk. However, I will say with the coconut milk, you will be adding a fair bit more calories and saturated fat. So with this recipe, you'll notice it's minimal fat in general, certainly very low in saturated fat, maybe only a gram or two for the whole recipe. But if you add the coconut milk, you will be adding quite a bit of fat and saturated fat. But you would use a can of coconut milk, 5 to 10 dates, depending on your sweetness, and the same amount of chocolate. And you can just mix that up with a dash of vanilla. You can even feel free to put in a pinch of salt if that's your thing. I leave the salt out, but some people like it. It will bring out some sweetness. Let's go ahead and blend this up, and I'll show you what the product looks like before we freeze it overnight, and then we'll come back tomorrow and put the final product, or I should say the intermediate product, the frozen product, in the Ninja Creami, and you'll get to see the delicious chocolate ice cream that this turns into. So in your blender container, we can start with the dates. I try to put them in first rather than the cacao because sometimes that cacao will get stuck in the bottom a little bit under the blades. So we'll add in that 2/3 cup or so of cacao, the nutritional yeast, and the oats, and then that dash of vanilla if you want. And that's the recipe for the extra large version. And then we'll add water. Now you can also add soy milk or almond milk if you want. However, I try to keep this recipe nut-free in case there's any nut allergies. So here I'm going to add up to close to 30 ounces, you know, somewhere in that 28 to 30 ounce range. That'll give it enough fluid to really spin around and blend well. And we'll transfer it to the container. Now these containers will hold 24 ounces, although I do tend to fill them up a little bit more because you can never have too much chocolate ice cream. And then if there's any left over, you just kind of have a nice little chocolate shake ahead of time. So let's go ahead and blend this up.
Grab the cocoa, grab the dates, line them up on kitchen slates. Soak the cashews overnight, get the texture feeling right. Splash of maple, dash of salt, better than a chocolate malt. Whisk it smooth and pour it in, let the magic phase begin. Spin it round, make it cold, pure as cocoa, dark and bold. Zero dairy, all whole food, just to match a happy mood. If you can dream it, you can cream it. If you can dream it, you can cream it. Nothing fake and nothing processed, put the flavor to the test.
So I did have to add a little bit more water. You want to make sure when you're blending this up that that product is fully blending. Now I think if I use the short version of this container, it would blend a little bit better. That is my one caveat with these classic Vitamix containers, is sometimes the stuff at the top doesn't quite move around quite as much, but you are making a thick, almost pudding-like consistency. So you want that brownie batter, pudding-ish consistency. You don't want it to be too thick. Otherwise, you end up leaving a lot of product here in the blender, and that's kind of a waste, and you don't want it too thin. Otherwise, you could dilute out the flavor and the sweetness. Now, if you want to make sure that this is going to make a delicious final product, you can taste it ahead of time, and you can see kind of looks somewhere consistency between brownie batter and pudding. And that's delicious. It's not super sweet, and it tastes a lot like chocolate. So if you like your ice cream sweeter than that, you can add more dates. Because I had to add more water, I have like 30, just under 30 ounces here, final product volume. But yeah, if you wanted it sweeter, you could add more dates, but we'll just leave it like this. So you'll take your container and you'll pour it in. Now what I'll do off screen is actually use a spatula to get the rest of the product out. But that's what you do. You pour it in your container here and you put your lid on and you put it in the freezer overnight. And then we'll come back and take a look at this product tomorrow and put it in the Ninja Creami so you can see the final product. So we're back after 24 hours and our creamy mix has been in the freezer overnight, so it is completely rock solid, and it is time to put it in the Ninja Creami to make ice cream. Now I have a few different products here that I'll show you. Here we have the chocolate ice cream, and we have a peach sorbet that's very delicious. We also have this watermelon icy sorbet mix that I'm going to try for the first time. But if you haven't seen any of these videos on the chocolate or the peach, watch them and it'll show you exactly how I make the mix. But let's go ahead and put it in the Creami. It's pretty full, but we're gonna go for it. I would not recommend filling it quite as high as I did. So I'm gonna use the light ice cream mix if this is a water base, but if you use coconut milk, I'm gonna use the ice cream setting. And then for the peach, I'll use the sorbet setting. You have the option of just doing the top half or the full. And then once you eat the top half, you can just do the bottom. I don't really know why that function is there because it still takes the same 4 minutes. But if you just are doing the bottom left, you hit the bottom button here. We're going to do the whole thing. So full and start. So sometimes this will come out looking a little icy. This actually looks pretty good. I would probably add a little bit of liquid and re-spin this. So let's take a look at what it looks like right now.
Cocoa, dark and bold, zero dairy.
That's pretty good. You have the option of adding a little bit of coconut milk if you used coconut milk, or a little bit more cashew milk or almond milk, and spin it again and get it just a little bit creamier. So let's go ahead and show you what that looks like.
Just a match of happy news.
So because this chocolate ice cream has dates in it, it can come out with a little bit of, I don't want to say gummy, but a lot of people will compare it to brownie batter. It's still very delicious. Just keep in mind that it's going to have just a little bit more structure than your traditional ice cream because it has all that extra fiber in it from the whole plant foods, the dates. So after spinning it and adding a little bit of cashew milk, homemade cashew milk, and re-spinning it, this is the final product. So that right there is absolutely fabulous. It's chocolatey. It's not overly sweet. It has a really nice mouthfeel. I actually prefer that little bit of structure. Like I said, it has more structure. It just fills you up a little bit more. It feels more satisfying. And of course, the benefits of having extra fiber in your diet helps lower your cholesterol and has a whole bunch of other heart healthy and general health benefits. But it's really just fabulous. And the nice thing is, like, there's no added sugar in this. You could add a little bit of maple syrup if you wanted to, but It's just whole, mostly unprocessed plant foods. There's no cholesterol. There's minimal saturated fat, except for the little bit that you'll find in the tiny bit of cashew milk that I added. But you can eat this and not feel guilty. You can eat this every single night with your kids and not feel like you're just giving them junk food. This is truly guilt-free. You could come back for seconds and not feel like you're doing a disservice to your health. I mean, all my neighbors like it, and they are very carnivore, and they come over and they love this stuff. Are we having that chocolate ice cream tonight? Hey, Sean, do you have more of that chocolate ice cream? So this is going to be shared with them. Of course, I ate out of it already. Let's